when you look out at the world right now, I mean, whether it's political stuff, the news cycle, or just that gray winter exhaustion, it's so easy to feel drained.
Your body just wants to conserve energy, right? To just kind of hibernate and wait for it all to pass.
Exactly. And we always hear this advice to just find acceptance, stop fighting reality.
And look, acceptance is a vital starting point. It really is. It's the practice that helps us stop that immediate energy leakage.
What do you mean by leakage?
Well, when we're railing against something we can't change, whether it's the political climate or just a tough situation at work, we're basically hemorrhaging our internal resources. So acceptance is designed to stop that bleed.
But the material we've been looking at for this deep dive, it asks this really fascinating question. What if stopping the bleeding isn't enough?
Right.
What if acceptance, as good as it is actually sort of a passive, incomplete practice? Our mission today is to look at this more advanced stack of practices.
Yeah, drawing on teachers like Sadhguru and Yogananda, and it's all about how to maintain this intensely alive internal state no matter what chaos is happening outside.
We're moving beyond just getting by.
Way beyond endurance.
Yeah.
The core distinction in these sources is so sharp. They say acceptance is like not drowning. You've stopped sinking.
Okay.
But this advanced practice, it's about moving into exuberance and unconditional gratitude. And that is like swimming powerfully.
So not just surviving life, but actively generating life force.
That's it.
Okay, so let's unpack the baseline first. The sources mention a few foundational practices that are good, but, well, not quite enough. Things like, accepting the political situation because rage doesn't actually change policy, or forcing a little smile to, trick your nervous system into feeling safe.
And that other one, just remembering I'm alive, that basic perspective check.
Right, and those are crucial steps. They establish a baseline of non-misery.
Yeah.
They stop you from just collapsing your internal world.
But that's the key word, right? Stop. If you really look at passive acceptance, it's a form of non-action. You've agreed not to fight reality.
But you haven't really engaged with it.
Exactly. You're not miserable anymore, which is great. But you are not yet fully alive.
And that leads us right to what's missing, exuberance, which is framed as this conscious act of will, something that goes directly against that natural pull to just withdraw.
That's the whole crux of it. If we stop at acceptance, we are, in a way, just waiting for the world to get better.
Waiting for better politics, for spring, for an easier job.
Yeah, waiting for something external to restore our good feeling. Exuberance is the strategic choice to generate that high-intensity life energy right now on your own terms.
You're not waiting for permission to feel vital.
You're not.
But I think for a lot of people, when they hear exuberance, they immediately picture, I don't know, some kind of denial, fake happiness or forced enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's a really important clarification to make. The sources are very clear on this. Exuberance is not denial. It's not fake. It's defined as life energy flowing without a blockage.
Without blockage.
It means full engagement with what is. You're not withdrawing from the painful parts, but you're maintaining a maximum intensity of involvement. Think of it as being alive to your absolute capacity.
So you're refusing to conserve your energy out of fear.
Or just plain lethargy.
And this is where the strategic need for this becomes so clear. The sources identify what they call the triple hibernation challenge.
Yes, and this is why exuberance has to be a deliberate override, not just a nice option. You're facing three compounding pressures that are all conspiring to signal your body to shut down, really slow way down.
Okay, what are they?
So first, there's age. As the body gets older, the natural default is to conserve energy. Everything takes a bit more effort.
The default response to stress is to slow down, not speed up.
Right. Second, winter. This is the environmental pull toward lethargy. Less sunlight, dips in serotonin and all that.
And the third one is circumstances or chaos, which could be anything. A crazy business environment, a financial worry, or, that political atmosphere we talked about.
Exactly. So without a deliberate practice, you just naturally fall into this triple hibernation. Age says conserve, winter says withdraw, and chaos says just survive.
And exuberance is the strategic refusal.
It's the override. It's saying, I am going to act fully alive even if my body, the calendar, and the headlines all disagree. You just can't afford to let those signals deplete you.
That sounds like a monumental effort. So if we have to actively generate this energy, how do we build a foundation that can sustain it? This is where we get into that idea of existential gratitude, right?
This is such a critical shift. We have to first distinguish between two types of gratitude. There's transactional gratitude and existential gratitude.
Okay, and most of us practice the transactional kind.
Almost exclusively.
Yeah.
We say, I am grateful for my health, for my family, for a sunny day. It's conditional.
And if those things shift, you lose the job, you get sick, the weather turns, your whole foundation for gratitude just disappears. It's totally unstable.
Precisely. It means your internal state is literally held hostage by favorable external conditions. Bad circumstances feel like a perfectly good reason to be ungrateful.
So what's existential gratitude?
It's when you remove the for. You are just in a state of, I am grateful, period. It's an orientation, a way of being, not a thank you note for getting what you want.
So you can see that life is brutally hard, and at the exact same time, you can hold this underlying gratitude just for existing.
Yes, that simultaneous truth is what makes it stable. It makes it independent of what's going on around you. It's the ultimate insurance policy for your internal freedom.
And if we want to test that freedom, the source material gives us, well, the ultimate stress test. It brings up a trigger that's so intense, it immediately shows you where you're still attached. Which brings us to the political test case they call, and we're quoting this for source integrity, the ginger shit weasel.
Right. And this figure, who represents this profound political disagreement and this deep emotional trigger for a lot of people, is used because he is so effective at disrupting the peace of the observer.
So the observer's rage, their energy drain, it proves that their peace is conditional. It depends on that person not existing or not succeeding.
Exactly.
I have to inject a little skepticism here because for many, political injustice is real and outrage feels justified. Isn't trying to find gratitude in the face of this just a form of surrender or like spiritual bypassing?
And that's the essential question, isn't it? The source material tackles this by making this crucial internal shift. The insight isn't, I have to be okay with injustice. The insight is that the emotional cost of your own rage is actually higher than the cost of strategic non-attachment.
Okay, say more about that.
The deep realization is this. It troubles me that he troubles me so much. The rage is my internal problem, regardless of his existence.
So the trigger's power isn't in what they do, it's in my attachment to the idea that they shouldn't exist.
That's it. Your rage shows that this political figure holds power over your internal state, which means you aren't free. So the advanced practice is to try and be grateful even for the existence of that trigger.
But not because you approve of him?
Absolutely not. You're grateful because his existence is the perfect teacher. He is showing you with perfect, unavoidable clarity exactly where your peace is still conditional.
That reframing is, wow. It's strategically brilliant. It shifts the whole dynamic from this hopeless political fight you can't control to an internal practice where you are always in control of your own energy.
And if you can transmute that rage into gratitude for the lesson, your internal state is no longer a hostage. That, they argue, is true freedom.
Which requires integrating all these layers. So let's walk through the full system. The sources map out a 7-layer architecture. Layer 1 is acceptance.
Right. Acceptance stops the energy leaking into resistance. Once that's plugged, you move to layer 2, smiling.
Which is that quick physiological shift.
Yep, moving the nervous system from reactive fight or flight to responsive.
Layer 3 is the alive reminder, establishing that core perspective.
That everything else is just detail. Then layer 4, the active generator, exuberance. Deliberately creating that life energy, refusing to let those triple pressures win.
And layer 5 is the foundation we just talked about, gratitude, but making it unconditional.
So it holds steady. Now, when you combine those first 5, you have enough stable energy for layer 6, which is so important, RAS reprogramming.
Okay, hang on. For anyone who might not know, what is the RAS, the reticular activating system?
The RAS is basically your brain's filter. It sifts through billions of bits of information and decides what gets your conscious attention. And when you live in fear or resistance, your RAS is programmed to filter for threats.
So the world literally looks worse to you because your brain's filter is just prioritizing all the negative stuff.
Exactly. But when you deliberately generate exuberance and gratitude, you shift your nervous system out of that survival mode. Your RAS gets reprogrammed to look for opportunities, for resources, for positive information.
That's a fundamental change in how you perceive reality. Okay, and finally, layer 7, Ikigai alignment. Can you define that one quickly, too?
Ikigai is a Japanese concept. It means a reason for being, your reason to jump out of bed. With clear energy from exuberance and correct filtering from the reprogrammed RAS, your purpose becomes obvious. The fog lists.
So you start with acceptance to stop the drain, and you end with Ikigai, this perfect alignment of action and purpose. It's a whole internal operating system.
And they provide a concrete tool for it, for when you see like an upsetting headline. They call it the SAGE practice.
SAGES is for stop. Just notice the trigger, that feeling of dread or anger.
A is for accept. This is happening. I accept the reality of the situation.
G is for grateful. And this is the advanced move. Thank you for showing me where my piece is still conditional, using the trigger as a diagnostic.
And then E is for exuberant. It's a proactive assertion. You do not get to collapse my energy. You refuse to let the external dictate your internal vitality.
And the final step is redirect.
Crucial step. This is where you channel all that potent energy that would have been wasted as rage, that physical jolt, into something constructive. Write something, work on a project, help someone. You move from being reactive to being intensely creative.
Okay, so we know the theory, but let's talk about activation. Because exuberance is an act, not a feeling you wait for. How do you literally do this on a cold, miserable morning?
The sources are very practical here. It's a 2-minute morning ritual. First, you stand up. You have to get out of that low-energy seated position.
Second, vigorous breathing. Something like breath of fire, just fast, intense breathing for 30 seconds to shock your system into alertness.
Third, physical movement. Jumping jacks, swinging your arms, anything to get the blood pumping and break that physical inertia. And the fourth part is maybe the most effective, loud vocalization.
Just shouting, I am alive.
Yes, not a whisper, not a quiet little affirmation. A full-throated shout. The absurdity of it, the intensity. It's necessary to break through the lethargy. The feeling of exuberance follows the action. You have to choose the action first.
I can just picture doing jumping jacks in my living room shouting, I am alive, while my neighbor wonders what on earth is going on. But maybe that absurdity is part of the point.
It is. If you feel a little silly, you're succeeding. And the sources really stress the necessity of this, especially as you get older. At a certain stage, you just cannot waste energy on resistance. If exuberance collapses, you are, and I'm quoting here, functionally done.
Wow, functionally done. That's brutal, but it's motivating. Which brings us to the real measure of success for this whole practice. The goal is not political passivity.
No. The measure is the speed of the shift. Rage appears, you notice it faster, you shift your state faster, and you spend almost no time wasted in that resistance. If you do engage politically, it's from a place of clarity and purpose, that ikigai alignment, not from blinding rage.
And ultimately, your piece is no longer a hostage to some political figure, or the season, or the challenge of getting older.
Mastery is being able to choose exuberance regardless of the circumstance. You've given every external situation, even the most triggering one, zero power over your internal state. You're fundamentally free.
So if this practice can take the deepest political rage, the feeling caused by that, trigger the sources called the ginger shitweasel, and turn that raw energy into unconditional gratitude and life force, we have to ask, what difficult circumstance in your life right now could be the perfect teacher for your next lesson in freedom?
What specific problem, whether it's a difficult person, a financial setback, a family issue, what are you still avoiding being grateful for? Because that problem, according to these sources, is the exact place your conditional piece is being revealed. It's the test you need to pass to become truly free.